Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving deep into the body's backup power system, ketone bodies. We're going to look at how they're made, how they're used for fuel, and crucially, what happens when this amazing system goes haywire.
So let's kick things off with a real clinical mystery. Picture this. A patient is rushed into the ER. They're confused, they're breathing really fast, and their breath has this weird, sweet, almost fruity smell. Now, that might not sound too bad, but it's actually a blaring alarm bell for a major metabolic crisis. Stick with me, and by the end of this, you'll know exactly what's going on at the biochemical level. You know, your body's number one fuel is glucose. But what happens when that runs low? Maybe you're fasting or on a really high-fat diet. Well, your body is smart. It flips a switch and fires up a backup generator. It shifts from burning carbs to burning fat. And in the process, it creates this alternative fuel source called ketone bodies to keep everything, especially your vital organs, up and running. Okay, so what are these things? There are three main types. You've got acetone acetate and β-hydroxybutyrate. Those are the main workhorses that provide energy. And then there's acetone, which is mostly just a byproduct. The key thing to remember is that they're made from fatty acids and they are water soluble. That last part is super important because it means they can just dissolve in the blood and travel anywhere they need to go.
So, how exactly does the body fire up this backup generator? Well, the whole process is called ketogenesis, and it all goes down inside the mitochondria of your liver cells. Let's walk through how it works. All right, so this ketone factory doesn't just turn on whenever. It needs some very specific triggers. During fasting, in uncontrolled diabetes, or on a high-fat diet, your body starts breaking down fat like crazy. This creates a massive flood of a molecule called acetyl-CoA. At the same time, another molecule, oxaloacetate, is in short supply, which stalls the normal energy cycle. So the liver has all this extra acetyl-CoA with nowhere to go, and it starts diverting it into making ketones. Okay, step one. And this is kind of cool. It's basically like hitting the rewind button on the last step of fat breakdown. An enzyme called thiolase grabs two molecules of acetyl-CoA and smashes them together, creating a new molecule called acetoacetyl-CoA. Now, this next step, this is the big one. This is the main control switch for the whole operation. Another acetyl-CoA molecule is added on, creating this bigger 6-carbon molecule called HMG-CoA. The enzyme that does this, HMG-CoA synthase, is the rate-limiting step. It basically sets the speed for the entire production line. And then another enzyme called HMG-CoA lyase comes in and basically snips that HMG-CoA. What we get is our very first official ketone body, acetoacetate, and a molecule of acetyl-CoA gets kicked out, ready to be used again. Pretty efficient, huh? So once we have acetoacetate, it's kind of like a fork in the road. It can go one of two ways. It can be converted into beta-hydroxybutyrate, which is the other major energy-providing ketone, or it can just spontaneously break down and become acetone, and yep, that's the volatile stuff that gives the breath that fruity smell we talked about. All right, we've seen how this special fuel gets made in the liver. Now let's see how the rest of the body actually uses it. That process is called ketolysis. Tissues like your heart, your muscles, and your kidneys absolutely love using ketones for energy. But the brain is the real VIP customer here, especially when you're starving. See, the brain can't use fatty acids directly for fuel, so ketones become an absolute lifeline, supplying up to 70% of its total energy needs. It's just a brilliant survival adaptation. And remember, the liver is our central production hub. It's working hard, breaking down fats, and shipping out all this high-energy fuel to the rest of the body. But here's where things get really fascinating. A total paradox in biochemistry. The very organ that makes all this fuel can't use a single drop of it for itself. It seems totally counterintuitive, right? Why would a factory turn out a product it can't even use? Well, the answer is actually incredibly elegant, and it all comes down to a single missing piece of machinery. It's all because the liver is missing just one critical enzyme, thiopherase. You need this enzyme for the very first step of using ketones for energy. Without it, the liver simply can't start the process. This ensures that the liver is a totally selfless producer, exporting every ketone it makes to the tissues that need it most, like that hungry brain. It's the body's ultimate team player. And don't think for a second this is some kind of low-grade fuel. No way. It's incredibly potent. The complete breakdown of just one molecule of beta-hydroxybutyrate can generate about 26 molecules of ATP. That's a ton of energy packed into a tiny water-soluble package. Okay, so up to this point, this system sounds amazing, right? A perfect survival tool. But now, let's get back to our patient in the ER. What happens when this finely tuned system gets dangerously out of whack? Now, you have to understand, ketosis itself isn't the bad guy here. It's all about context. When you're fasting, you enter a state of starvation ketosis. It's a controlled, adaptive response where your body makes ketones and uses them efficiently. But in uncontrolled diabetes, the lack of insulin sends fat breakdown into absolute overdrive. The liver starts churning out ketones at an insane, unregulated rate, way more than the body can possibly use. This is a pathological state called Diabetic Ketoacidosis, or DKA. Just to give you an idea of how extreme this is, normal ketone levels are tiny, maybe 1 milligram per deciliter. In DKA, they can shoot up 100-fold. And here's the real problem. 2 of the 3 ketone bodies are acids. When you dump that much acid into the blood, it completely overwhelms the body's buffering system, and the blood pH plummets. This is a full-blown medical emergency. Whew! We've gone from tiny molecules all the way to a life-threatening clinical condition. Let's take a breath and lock in the most important takeaways from all of this. So let's recap. Ketone synthesis happens in the liver mitochondria, starting with acetyl-CoA. These ketones then go on to fuel other tissues like the brain and muscle, but never the liver itself, all because it's missing that key enzyme, thiophrase. This system is a brilliant adaptation for survival during starvation, but it can turn into a pathological nightmare and uncontrolled diabetes. Understanding that duality is everything. All right, you ready for a quick pop quiz? First question, what's the name of that enzyme that's missing in the liver, the one that prevents it from using the ketones it makes? That's right, it's thiophrase. Okay, number 2, why does starving actually kickstart ketone production? Well, it's because when glucose is low, the body goes into overdrive, breaking down fat. This creates that huge surplus of acetyl-CoA in the liver, which then gets funneled into making ketones. And for our last question, let's bring it all the way back to the beginning to our patient in the ER. That distinctive, sweet, fruity smell on their breath, which ketone body causes that? That would be acetone, the volatile byproduct that gets exhaled from the lungs. And now you know, that smell isn't just some weird quirk, it's a vital diagnostic clue that points directly to a body in deep metabolic trouble.